Hi Internet! This is going to be another one of my videos where I talk about getting a stack of games for relatively cheap. I say relatively because today's episode is on the PlayStation 1. I love this little thing. This was my first video game console way back, God, it had to have been 99 when I was 4. I remember for Christmas, my parents got us a PS1 and a bunch of games for it. And we also each got, because I have 2 brothers and a sister, except my sister wasn't born at that time, so it would have just been my 2 brothers. We each got a Game Boy and a Pokemon game. So needless to say, great Christmas. So this console's always had a special place in my heart because it's sort of like my introduction to gaming. And with that comes games. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I just went out and bought all of these games yesterday, because I haven't. They've been sitting on my shelf for the past few months or so. But I wanted to show you guys that, depending on where you look, you can get a lot of classic PS1 games for very cheap. Now, unfortunately, PS1 is not like PS2 and Xbox 360 and PS3 games. They are a bit more expensive. And I don't know entirely what the reason for that is. Maybe it's just nostalgia. Maybe it's because the PS2 sold more. But you can't find a ton of these games for under $9.99. And you'll see in the stack of games I have, not every one of these games is under $9.99. However, most of them are. There are some exceptions to the PS1 ruling. Now, first off, if you want to, you could just get a PS1 Mini, like this. Just a little HDMI console that has the USB ports in the front for the controllers. And get this, I think I paid like $60 for this. And that's about, equivalent to this stack of games, but I think there's like 30 on here. Don't quote me on that. So this just sits up here. And you could do that. That's a perfectly valid way to get the games you want. However, I'm a big fan of actually owning the games. So, I'll show these, and then I'll show the single most expensive game I own, which happens to be a PS1 game, which I've shown in the past, but for new subscribers, you might be interested in it. So, let's run the gauntlet here, and I'll show you each game and how much I paid for each game. So we'll start at the top. This is Spyro Ripto's Rage, and I paid $9.99 for this. We also have Spyro Year of the Dragon. I also paid $9.99 for this. Then we have Tomb Raider 2, $7.99 for this. So the Tomb Raiders tend to be the cheaper ones. That's just what I've noticed. Gran Turismo, the original, which something's loose in here. Yep, this came out. Has 2 discs. That's not very well secure at all. Whatever. Crap. I'm messing it up. No, it's fine. Secure. $9.99 for Gran Turismo. The original Spyro. Now, I paid, when I got this, $14.99 for it. However, I've seen the price bounce around over time. I've seen it as low as $7.99. I've seen it as high as $19.99. It kind of all depends on when you end up getting it. So if you see it and it's really expensive and it's over $10, you could hold off. I mean, granted, it is only $5 more, so it's not like it's breaking the bank. I'm just showing this as an example. Another one is the original Crash Bandicoot. I paid $14.99 for this. Now, this is another one that I've seen it bounce around price-wise multiple times. It all just depends on the store, where you live, the economics of the time. There's a lot that goes into it. One game that is consistently cheap, though, and I will say one of the better games in here, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Now, I just noticed that, this is Pro Skater 2 and the case just broke. Yeah, this case is not very well held together. But on the back, the the label is Pro Skater 1. So that's kind of funny. But it is Pro Skater 2 inside of here. And I think you guys know I'm a huge Tony Hawk's fan. Another one, Rayman, the original Rayman. This is another one that's $14.99. But if you know where to look and you can get a deal on it, you can save some money. So, another one to kind of shop around and look for. Finally, the original Tomb Raider. This one stays pretty consistently at around $10 from what I've seen over the years. At least since COVID. I can't really speak to before COVID, because before COVID, we would walk in and I would see $5.99 for this, and I would think, oh, wow, that's really expensive. I'm not buying that. And then, of course, COVID happened, and everything, quadrupled in price. So, but even still, most of these games, actually all of them, $15 or less. You can get a huge stack of games for under $100. PS1 systems are really not that expensive these days. I've had this mini one forever. I think this is one of the oldest consoles I have. And I used to have both versions, the big square rectangle one and the smaller one. I don't know what happened to the square one. But yeah, it's just a fantastic console. Now, on to the most expensive game I own. And that would be... Actually, I'll grab 3. So, when it comes to PS1 games, they're either dirt cheap or they are super expensive. Now, I have 3 games here, and the bottom one here is the single most expensive game I own. But I'll start at the top with one of the classics, Silent Hill. Now, when I bought this, I paid $109 for it. And I considered that to be cheap at the time. This thing has gone up and down in price over the years so much. It's just shocking. I think right now it hovers around $200. Don't quote me on that. But I think right now it hovers around $200. Another one that differs wildly in price, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. For some reason, having the greatest hits badge and not having the greatest hits badge makes like a $30 price difference. I paid $84 for this when I got it. It's right here on the back. Now, the single most expensive game I own, Clock Tower for the PlayStation 1. I paid oh my god, I cannot believe how much I paid for this. I paid $220 for this game. Why? Because childhood me saw this on an episode of X-Play way back in the day. They were counting down the top 10 scariest games, and Clock Tower was one of them. I think it was the PC version at the time, and I just remember being mystified by it. I remember the whole concept of being chased by a guy with giant scissors as just being terrifying because I was like 8, but also intrigued by the world in it. So I happened upon this game one day, and I looked at it and I went, oh crap, I have to buy that. Because it's fulfilling the childhood wonder inside of me. So I picked it up. And it's fluctuated in price since then, but it's always hovered around $200. And the sequel's even more expensive. The sequel's like $500. I could never justify that. I could barely justify spending that. If it wasn't for childhood nostalgia, I would not have bought this game. But anyways, so yeah, each one of these games, each individually, costs more than this pile. So it all depends on where you want to look. You can go super premium and super expensive and super rare. Or you can just get the classics and have a ton of fun. It really just depends on what you as the consumer want to buy. So that will wrap up this video on PlayStation 1 games. Yeah, look forward to more videos in the future. I'm currently in the middle of changing jobs right now, So hopefully that will pick things up with February coming around the corner, and then lead into March, and we'll just go from there. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Go out and buy some PS1 games if you know where to look, and thank you.